8 from 3. And after the game, he admitted the restart of the season, well, it hadn't been easy. Take a listen.
The bubble got the best of me. I was just in a dark place. I really wasn't here. I checked out. So these past couple games, it was just difficult. But you know, shout out to people that stood behind me, that was in my corner, the positivity, my teammates, my family, friends, everybody. Thank everybody that reached out to me. I was just in a bad place, and I found my way. I'm back, and I look forward to the rest of this run.
Wow. Well, appreciate his honesty there. Shannon, are you surprised he talked about this?
I'm not, because, Skip, I think we're seeing more athletes being open and honest with themselves when it comes to dealing with these mental issues. Now, I'm not saying Paul has mental issues, but he admitted that playing in the bubble, it doesn't even seem like it's the playoff. Because, Skip, you know, the playoff, the intensity, the crowd, and your hype, you're like, woo, and everybody's going. It's like, but now you can hear everything being said from every bench. You can hear every call. And it's like, it doesn't even feel like that. And he admitted that he let the criticism that was being spewed at him on social media, he let it get the best of it.
And he did.
And thanks to his friends and his loved ones and family members that believe in Paul, that he was able to rebound. Doc talked about it in his presser, that Paul came up to his room after the game and they talked about the game. Obviously, they talked about basketball, but they talked about a lot of other things other than basketball. And I think that's what makes Doc so good, Skip.
Yep.
Doc, you know, having played the game, being a father of an NBA player, Doc understands what goes on sometimes in the minds of these athletes. But for Paul to admit that, kudos to him. Because a lot of times, Skip, people look at athletes as being superhuman. Like nothing affects them, Skip. Like, oh, man, you got all this money, you got this talent, you can do things that only people wish they could do. But you're human. You have emotions. Being great at something does not exempt you from some of the problems that go on in a normal person's life. And Paul George basically said, I was in a dark place. And some of the things that was being said, it affected me. I allowed it to affect me. But I'm back now. And I understand that this is the situation that we're in, Skip. They're not going to bring fans. I guess in the second round, Skip, they'll start letting some family members come into the bubble. But there are not going to be 15,000 people in the stand. They're not going to even be probably 1,000 people in the stands. And you're going to have to accept that. But for Paul to admit that the bubble has started to get in the best, and Skip, we heard LeBron say it's different. Skip, we're so routine. You you even more routine than me. You get up at the same time, you do the exact same thing.
I do.
You get here at the exact same time every single day. So I can imagine you having to be in a bubble, having to do this show. You lose, you like.
No, I would adapt to it.
I'm saying.
I would set up a new routine that would work in the bubble, and then I would be driven on that routine.
But it's so different for these guys. It's something that, you know, I think Paul's been in the league, what, 10, 11 years? And it's like, maybe not that long, but he's like, man, this is different. But kudos to him for opening it up and making himself seem vulnerable. Because sometimes people don't like vulnerabilities. And he exposed his.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you on that level, the life level. But then there's this other level, basketball. But first on the life level, I'm 1,000% with you. For him to talk publicly about what he referred to as his mental health or lack thereof, for him to admit he was suffering anxiety, and he said, he used the word depression. It took some guts to do that. And he went to dark place. He went to I was lost. All publicly, he admitted to this and embraced it publicly. And I respect that. I respect it a lot. And he said that because there are no fans in the stands, that he lost his edge, his attitude, his enthusiasm, his drive for playing basketball. He couldn't find it anymore. And I do think they're all suffering at this stage what I would call cabin fever, where, yeah, you're cooped up. It's not like the worst. It's not like you're
Skip,
in prison.
you missed the oohs and the ahs.
Okay, but you don't, when the game's over, as Doc said, you just have to go back to your hotel room immediately, home or away, doesn't matter what the game is, you just have to go back to your hotel room. And after a while, it wears on them psychologically because you don't get to go home.
It's a lot easier when you win.
Yeah.
But PG hasn't played well in the last 3 games. So now, Skip, you're going back to your hotel room alone with your thoughts. That's the last place you want to be when you don't play well, is alone with your own thoughts.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go on the basketball level.
Okay.
On the star level. We all know and we all agree this is a very talented basketball player.
Absolutely.
There's never been any doubt about that. Kenny Smith was saying last night, isn't he like a top 10 player in talent? Yeah. Maybe somewhere in there, top 15.
Yes.
But for that guy, for the co-star on a team that I root for, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't love this open-hearted public admission of any kind of frailty or any kind of sort of psychological weakness, because it opens you up to the other teams that they don't fear you as much because you're showing them your vulnerability. And you know, you play, I'm being cold-blooded here, but this is at the highest level of playoff football or basketball. You cannot show your opponent too much weakness, if any.
Well, that's
right?
Skip, and you play sports, it's the top of the top.
Yep.
It's eat or be eaten.
There you go.
We prey on the weak.
Woo.
We find the weak link. So if your cornerback is suspect, we're going to pick on him. If you got a weak offensive lineman, we're going to put our best pass rusher on his side. So we're going to prey on that. That's just the way it is, Skip. I'm sorry. The old and the weak get eaten.
Okay, so in Game 6, do you think some of the Mavericks are going to lean over and whisper to him, you feeling anxiety?
You weak. You soft.
Soft? Right, okay. So I've always said about Paul George, he's a nice guy. I call him George Paul when he goes into these slump funks, but he's a complimentary star. He's not an alpha personality. He's not Shannon Sharpe. Kawhi has quiet alpha in him, but he's more of a leader than Paul George is. Pat Bev, Lou, they've all got alpha in them, right? I think Marcus Morris has alpha in him.
Yeah.
But Paul is complimentary. He's very talented. You could argue he's the most talented player on the team. I don't know. You could at 6'8", could shoot threes. And
smooth, effortless.
He's got it all.
But Skip, the thing, what I can't understand is that, you know, you say he's complimentary, but I've seen him as the lead dog push the big three Heat to the brink.
I guess I never trusted that he was going to push him over the edge.
Yeah, but I mean, Skip, he did that.
I don't think LeBron ever feared him because I think LeBron knew deep down he's not the alpha. He's not. He doesn't have that dog in him.
I mean, for him to come back from what he came back from, Skip,
it was impressive. I mean, once he got going, and you know what? He's so fortunate to have Doc Rivers as his coach because, as you point out, Doc took him up in his hotel room and they talked for hours into the late night about life, not about basketball, about life, what it all means. And somehow Paul came to grips. Okay, I'm in the bubble, but it's not all bad. And so Doc is saying, we love you. We believe in you. Kawhi was telling him, we believe, just shoot. So Doc told him, I want you to come out firing and don't look back.
He was
and what did he do? He came out and took the first shot and made it. Way
9
to go.
points in the first 6-11.
There you go. Okay, he missed his second shot, but he didn't back down. He just kept on firing. Boy, they started really going in.
But you know what? This is on 2 levels, Skip. This goes to show how Paul George and how trusting he is of Doc and that he's willing to reject himself because PG dated Doc's daughter. And we know what happened.
Yeah.
And for Doc,
very good point.
And for Doc to put that aside.
Forgive and forget.
For Doc to put it, say, this ain't about a coach. This is about man to man. You're going through something.
Yep.
How can I help you?
Because he did disrespect Doc's daughter.
Yes.
He did.
And Skip, there's a stigma in our community and the black community about, you know, talking about mental issues and seeming weak and seeming vulnerable. But I believe you can be vulnerable and not be weak.
Yeah.
But I can believe you can be weak and not be vulnerable. People want to make those things, they have to go hand in hand, and I don't believe they are. But for Paul George, we've got to get out of that in our community is that if somebody says that they're dealing with things or they're depressed, because for the longest time, you ain't depressed. Figure it out. Sometimes you need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Maybe PG just needed Doc to talk to him.
He did.
And maybe, you know what? This man could have so much anger and so much frustration for what I did to his family.
Yep, that's a great point.
He's like, man, he talking to me like a dad.
He did.
He talking to me like I'm his son. He sincerely cares about me.
Yep. And I think those teammates came up and hugged him.
Yes.
He needed a big hug
Yes.
from everybody.
Yes.
We love you. We believe in
Yes.
you. Just go shoot.
Yes.
He even started out the game on Luka. So they're saying, you take Luka
Right.
and you shoot it every time you touch the basketball.
This is why I mean, coaching, sometimes it's more than X's and O's. Skip.
Yep.
Sometimes it's being able to communicate with a man to man.
I agree.
I don't want to talk about no basketball. I want to talk about the X's and O's. I don't want to talk about no pin down. I don't want to talk about no catch and shoot, no screens. I don't want to talk about anything.
I agree.
Let me tell you what's going on, Doc.
That's why, to me, I've always said Doc was the best coach. I've always put him above Popovich because I don't know if Coach Pop could do quite that, what Doc did with Paul George.
Yeah.
Not that.
Maybe Skip, Pop just seems so curmudgeonly.
That's the problem.
And Doc seems so relatable.
Yeah. See, Pop is Belichick, and
Yeah.
Belichick's not going to give you a hug.
No.
He's not going to try to talk you through this.
No.
Yep.
Hard to find negatives about Doc Rivers today. Boy, just as a coach, a man, a leader, we can't say enough about him right now. Good stuff from Paul George. We appreciate that honesty. Guys, something did happen with Luka yesterday.